All right, we are actually streaming now.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, we're live now. So we'll see what people get some people to join. Maybe I'm gonna check the participant list. But yeah, uh, I guess welcome everybody to another edition of the LoG Dynasty Cast. We've got our main man Alex here. Thank you for joining.
Good to
Perfect.
be here.
All
Great to
right,
be
up
here.
to a good start. Yeah, it's I guess we had you on for talking trades with like a few people before, but never like your own podcast. So it's
Yeah,
good.
I think the last time I was on it was talking trades with Lewis, which is funny that him put on a hat of an expertise about trades. Um, that's
You're the
I guess
trade
who
man.
those who can't do teach. I guess is that the thing.
Well,
Um,
how are you doing? What's new with your life these days that you want everybody to know about?
just been doing some triathlons, enjoying that. Moving to Nashville
Nice.
very soon, so that's going to be fun. Somebody in the stream?
I don't think Colin understands the concept here. He's supposed to join on YouTube. So we're gonna kick him.
Is this Missbach or Edmondson?
Go to YouTube. Okay. He figured it out. He figured it out. It was Edmondson. Yeah, that is the one bad thing about having like everyone has access to the Discord, but he does my bad. He did it again. He did it again. We got some
Real talk.
amazing technical work here. Sorry.
If I get nude, like, does it kick out your account or does it just like, is it an auto filter for nude stuff?
Yeah, I mean, like they're checking for random things like that. They're also checking for like copyrighted content as well. Like if I just like put a whole NFL game up, I would get yelled at, or and the channel will get kicked and things like that.
Really?
Yeah, and
I can't like,
you gotta watch like what music you're playing, and you gotta play non copyrighted music as well on YouTube. But I don't know all the rules, but there there's a slim possibility.
oh, this is fun.
But yeah, so it looks like we got Aki and we've got Edmondson found his way to the chat, so that's
Hey,
great.
boys.
So welcome everybody. Feel free to ask lots of questions in chat. Today we're just gonna talk trades. I've been wanting to do this for a very long time. Just getting ideas from a different perspective. Well, I'll say, and I think that's the best way to describe your way, and I really like it. You said something that resonated with me the other day. You said, dynasty is like redraft when you want to compete. When you want to be competitive, you're just basically should be, playing redraft, trying to grab those guys like the Tyler Lockett's of the world or Jarek McKinnon or whoever, right?
Yeah,
I
this is the
thought that was an interesting
honestly like
comment.
I guys who I look at right now for trade targeting, just anything, is somebody with a big delta between their redraft and their dynasty ranking. So pretty much my entire team is a great example. Like a Dalvin Cook, who snuck into the fantasy footballers top 10 running backs
Yep.
before all this news about him being dropped.
Right.
Nobody fucking wants him. Nobody fucking wants him in Dynasty. Like literally nobody. I've shopped him to so many people, and I cannot get anything back for any of these guys. Aaron
Yeah.
Jones, Chubb, I can get like some bites on. Really, like once people get over a certain age, they're just gonna die on my team, and I'm
Yeah.
okay with that.
Yeah. Well, and like you just kind of have to lean into it because you've gone so far. I mean, I talked about your team a little bit, and I was going back and forth in my head about like which way I would go, and it's just like, well, at this point, I mean, I would just go for it again. Like
Easy.
that I think that's the easy decision because you're not getting, like, if you go on keep trade cut and try to do trades, it's like I mean, you're literally the worst team on keep trade cut, which is in the power rankings, which we'll pull up at some point. And that doesn't mean you're gonna lose this year. Like you could easily win a championship this year. It's such a strange
Yeah,
concept. But yeah, once guys hit a certain age, it's just like we're done with them. Like even though Nick Chubb's awesome, he's about to turn 28, so we're done. Like now
I think that's where.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's an interesting thing though. But I'm hoping that the two of us can kind of go through some teams, think about some trades, and
do
just
it.
see where
Let's
we
do it.
land because I think that'll be a fun exercise. Um,
I'd love to.
I don't know where you want to start. I don't know which team you want to start with. I'm assuming you've thought about Colin Misbach's team a lot, and
A little bit,
a little
and
bit.
it's really moot, honestly. Like with would do if I were trading,
Yeah,
because that presumes that the owner of that team would actually make a trade,
yeah.
um,
Oh, I need to
which I
actually
don't.
pull you in. I don't know what just happened on this, but oh, I just need to click on it. Okay, there we go. Oh,
Oh,
that's
oh
weird.
wow,
That's
I didn't know
strange.
that he had. I didn't know that he had the tutu.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Yes.
then he's
Yes.
putting on
Tutu
the
Atwell.
tutu.
Yes. That's strange. So if it's doing the, I see. I see. I need to do like a. Never mind. I'm learning things as I go here. In terms of the technology, but yeah. So this is Colin's team.
Yeah,
So let's say this whole exercise. Let's just pretend you own the team. You can do whatever you want with it. And you're thinking about what you're gonna do. Do you look at this team
yeah.
and like, are you thinking let's make moves to compete right now?
Oh
Like what
man,
stands out to you?
when I look at this team, I think this is purgatory, and I would blow this shit up to hell. Basically, like this team is. I mean, basically the only good assets on the team are Murray, who's pretty mid, J.K. Dobbins, who could go one way or the other, but only has like one good leg right now. A.J. Dillon's interesting. Justin Jefferson is probably one of the most valuable assets in fantasy. Mike London could be really interesting. Out of that, like what is on this team? And he doesn't even have that many picks. So he is not really making many trades. This is the type of team that we were afraid of when we started Dynasty. Someone who is this team wasn't even good to begin with, and we're just gonna let it rot from out from under itself.
Wow.
Now, as soon as I,
Tell us how you really feel. I love it. I love it. Well,
it's
I
just as
somewhat
I mean, there's
agree. Like when I was looking at this team too, I was like, what do you do? What would I do with it? And I'm not sure. But like you've got Justin Jefferson, so you got to think every week you've got a shot just because of him. As long as you start like average people at every other position, like
yeah,
just average, then you have a shot at against anybody in a 14 team league. Is it going to win a championship? Maybe not, but yeah, I couldn't. I don't know. I wasn't sure what to do. So what moves would you be? You're saying you're going to blow it up. Does that mean you're going to trade everybody, or is he or like what's your take?
I would definitely. Thing is too is that what makes this team especially hard to think about is that like you couldn't even get much if you blew it up.
Mm.
Like you could, I would maybe be trying to something, like I would try to get a ransom for Justin Jefferson. So I would probably wait until people get desperate more towards, you know, mid-season where they're looking for that piece to kind of put them over the top. Like he's the kind
Yeah.
of, yeah,
So I've heard you talk about that a lot. You when talking about your own players, right? So you're like, well, I'm not going to trade Travis Kelsey right now. I'm going to trade Travis Kelsey when he's scoring 30 points a game, and everyone is having regret not grabbing him, and we'll trade a bunch of picks for him if I'm going to blow it up, right? Like that's
yeah,
that.
yeah. I think that if last year showed us things that may not be true, but last 2 years, including the keeper year,
Mhm.
like it's probably going to take. pushing your chips all in. Whoever is going to win year in, year out, on average. Obviously, there are going to be options where like you can like hold on and keep some of their draft capital powder dry. David and I both went all in, and we were the ones that made it to the ship,
Right.
largely on the back of those players that we acquired. And so,
Like Jamal
one
Williams.
Jamal Williams, everyone knew that that was going to be worth a first round draft pick. That was always, that's definitely, something that was super predictable.
Super predictable. Very predictable.
You love the process on it. You love
right.
you love it when, not just blind luck that ends up this guy has 19 touchdowns or whatever.
Amazing. All right, but with Colin's team, you're trying to get some value for it. You said you would. So you think you're looking at this team and you're trying to make a trade. Justin Jefferson obviously jumps off the page. Do you trade?
I would do, honestly.
Do you trade young players? I mean, or do you just keep them? Like, what do you do?
I would punt this shit. I would trade my first round draft picks from this year. Like, try to get multiple first round draft picks in future years. Like, I would try to just like start stockpiling shit for like 2026. This thing isn't good. This isn't going anywhere. All right, Colin, I love you. I do.
But like yeah, I would definitely start. If it were me, I would start with the running backs. Like, see what I could get, sniff around. What can I get for J.K. Dobbins, A.J. Dillon? There's surely people that want, those for.
I would pay for either of those guys. I would pay for either of those guys, but not much.
Yeah,
I probably wouldn't give up a first round draft pick for each, and that's kind of
that's what he needs.
That's what he needs.
Yeah, he needs future first for these guys. So
let's see if between J.K. Dobbins, Kyler Murray, and Justin Jefferson, haul back 5 first round picks. Like,
yeah, nice. I would be tempted. Yeah, I've thought about this a lot. Like, I would be tempted to trade Justin Jefferson in this case. This is like one of the few cases if I saw him on a team where I'd be like okay with trading him, because you don't usually want to. You don't want to trade the best player in fantasy. You just want to keep him. He's the best because he's young and he's awesome. But
you'll always have a shot. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you don't feel like you've got a shot in the next couple of years, then his value is never going to be lower, right? So might as well get like the king's ransom for him. Like, if you put him up on the trade block, what could you get for him? Like 4 firsts and like a good young player or something like that. Like, you could get something ridiculous for this guy at this point. I've seen some ridiculous offers.
I think if he tried to shop him, he could.
Mm-hmm.
He won't, but he should.
Yeah. And then the other one is Drake London is an interesting one because I feel like he hasn't popped yet, right? So like
he's good at the end of last year.
He was good at the end of last year, but he hasn't like hasn't had like a top 12 season yet. So people aren't paying like, if he does, then people would pay a lot for him. But if you wait this year, it's like, it almost feels like you're playing the stock market half the time. But if you like wait this year and let him do well, and then you could sell him for even more, or you could just keep him. Either way, I don't know. But yeah, I would definitely dip in the Justin Jefferson trade.
It blows my mind, honestly, just looking at this team and seeing that like Aki is rated lower than him.
Right.
Just from like it just I have a world. Like, would you rather have Colin's team, Aki's team? Like, just doesn't really compute to me. But,
right. Right. Yeah. So I mean, so that's the difference. So in Dynasty, that's the difference between like having direction and not on your team. Yes, he has the picks aren't worth that much for Aki, and that's Colin still has his first, all his first. And he's got Justin Jefferson, who's worth a lot more than anybody Aki has. Like, the closest he has is, I think, AJ Brown, and Justin Jefferson is just like off the charts. So that's how it all adds up. But yeah, I totally agree. I think Aki's in a much better spot. All right, well, let's pick a different team because that was just depressing.
I'm sorry, Colin.
we're just giving Colin a hard time. That's not why
You know what
we're
I'm doing? I'm not. I don't actually feel this way. I'm trying to piss him off enough to actually make some trades. You know,
yeah.
because he will not trade with me under any circumstances.
I think yeah. I mean yeah. I think that's just a principle for him at this point. So all right. So let's think about a different team.
The
Do
thing
you
I
have
would
one
say
in
though
mind?
about Collins is that he had the best pick. He had the best waiver pickup of the entire year last year. Shahid is going to be interesting.
Yeah. There you go. There you go.
It's going to be that's possibly like if Rashid Shaheed ends up being the wide receiver equivalent of like an Alvin Kamara, if London ends up being good, that could be a three. That could be a super young like core that he could build around going
Mm.
forward. He still has his pick, so like that's a case where like if those things happen, be a really that could be a great core to build around.
Yeah. Yeah, and you just need Kyler to play. I think this year Kyler's not gonna do much for you, so you're just kind of punting for next year, maybe in that case. But I don't know. He's got Jared Goff. He could make something happen there. All right, let's pick a trickier one. I don't know. I feel like you want to do Justin's. Do
So
you
Justin,
you want to talk
do it.
about Justin's team? I like thinking about Justin's team. So he's got a pretty interesting team, to be honest. He has a lot of picks. He has good players to build around with Joe Burrow, Jalen
Oh, shit.
Waddle.
Yeah, he does have a lot of picks.
Yeah, yeah. So he's got two firsts this year, and then
First next year.
yeah, and two. Does he have a second? He has one second this year. Yeah, he's got a lot of good picks. So five firsts over the next 3 years, I guess. But
Are any of
anyways,
his tight are any of his active tight ends in the league anymore?
yeah. The tight end position is rough. So you got this team, and you want to compete every year, right? So you're looking at this team and thinking about what you want to do. You've obviously got some picks this year to get pick up a tight end if you want to. Maybe not with your firsts. I don't know. Like
This is honestly this could be a great trading target for me later in the season. If he got Travis Kelce on this team, it could be legit.
there
He
you
has
go.
3 first-round picks. So like that's a move, but I don't think he would do that unless he like was really competing. I
Yeah,
think
he
you
would
can
he
make
would
fun
need
of him
people
enough
to
about.
pop off. Like Najee would need to come back to form, and let's say he drafts a running back with his first pick. Then that player is good. And then we've got Waddle, Judy, Dotson. Like if those guys play well, he would need all those things to happen, and then maybe he would think about trading with you. I feel like for Kelsey, but it would have to be a pretty sure thing from like I guess my perspective of the way he operates. Because I feel like he'd rather just draft a tight end at 108 or whatever he has, and just
I wonder
see what
honestly, like
happens.
when was the last time like, someone drafting a tight end was a predictably good tight end that was drafted?
It's
I mean,
not.
like
It's
let's
not. It's a terrible endeavor. I think there's a lot of evidence to suggest that you should draft tight ends with like your third round pick or something like that. Just take some random athletic dude and hope the situation works out. Um, and spend all your draft capital on wide receivers and running backs. Because that's as cheap as the running backs will ever be. Um, but yeah, tight ends are super hard to predict. Like Trey McBride, that was supposed to be the guy this year. Trey McBride, he didn't do anything. He was behind Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz gets hurt. He still does nothing. I mean, that offense was horrible, but
I'd say he's always the McBridesmaid and never the McBride. You know,
yes, exactly. But yeah, so it takes a long time for number one for tight ends to develop. Number two, you need a good situation where they're actually going to pass them the ball and they also have to be like not blockers all the time. That's it. It's so
yeah.
unpredictable. So Yeah, I think it's probably better. Like, if Justin traded, in my mind, if I was owning this team, I would take one of those 24 firsts and I would trade him for like Kittle, which like you could trade that David one, especially because you might be, David might be safer than trading your own first in 2024, um, and get that like George Kittle from somebody. Now, I don't think in the context of our league that's going to work because Bryce is probably not giving up on George Kittle. But if Bryce is not competitive, maybe that's a good deal for him. Maybe there's some world where that works out. Something like that. Older guy, that is producing, I guess, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I
But
think that, I mean, like I think there will probably be someone on waivers too. I feel like some of the things that you, some of the things that I notice other people point out is just how noisy like quarterback and tight end positions are year to year in terms
right,
of like outside of the top guys who bubbles up, and there's basically like very little correlation between who we expect to do well at the end of the year and who actually ends up doing well. Like there's going to be some random tight ends like the Evan Ingrams and the, more than likely Evan Ingram will not be an Ingram he was last year.
right,
You know,
right, exactly.
that's just how tight ends, it's typically how they work. He might be. I mean, he might have taken a leap, but
Yeah, I think your suggestion of going for Kelsey is probably the best way, and always gonna be a good suggestion. I feel like just because he's so good, he's such a game breaker. That's just such a sure thing. Whereas anybody else in the position is not. Like even Mark Andrews wasn't like a sure thing last year, and we all expected him to be like the guy. So, um,
I think that those elite tight ends are just going to take a king's ransom,
mm, mm-hmm,
get away.
yeah,
There's, I mean, as long as you have, as long as you have one, you're in it. You've got a pretty good shot.
right,
So, like,
but
getting someone who's in it, not be in it anymore, is going to take some capital.
yeah. Well, oh, we missed over a comment from Zach. He said we got to recognize Colin for holding on to Elijah Moore for this long. Yes, that's true. I don't know how many times I asked him for a trade. I don't know what I offered him. I offered him so many things for Elijah Moore. It was frustrating. It was just like, no, 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 no. I can't even get him to trade Jerome Ford, who is like, who's a
There's
was
no
it?
fucking way he knows who that is. Does
But
he know?
yeah, no, I think he does. Well, he does now after I asked him about him. But yeah, last year I was trying to get him because I thought there was a chance he could be the number 2 guy behind Chubb this year. And he like basically, I mean, there was just like no way I could get him. I couldn't. I would have to like way overpay, I think. And even then, I'm not sure he'd do it. But
I mean,
all right.
there's people who every time I get them to say yes to something, I know I'm overpaying.
Mhm. That'd be
Always one
Bryce.
of them.
Bryce.
It's Bryce, it's Colin, a little bit Justin sometimes. Justin
Yes.
likes his own guys. If Justin's agreeing, I know it's an Aaron Rodgers for Carson Wentz straight up type of deal.
Yes.
And
All right. So, what other team would you like to dive into next? Who's your pick? I picked the last two. So,
ooh, can you scroll up?
yeah.
Let's see here. Let's I mean, let's do you.
All right. Let's go to my team.
Yeah, Zach's too good, so there's really no reason to talk about that. I don't really want to give him any advice either. So,
I don't really
um,
think it's too good. So, I think it's pretty mid, but there's a lot of
think
value.
you think
Like,
Zach's team's mid?
no. Oh, you said Zach. Yeah, I thought you. Yes. Okay. I was talking about my team. I think my team is mid. I think Zach's team is unbelievably good. We don't even have to talk about his team, like you said. Yes,
That's what
I
I was
agree.
saying. Yeah. Okay. What was your thinking behind the Lamar Jackson field swap?
You know, I don't think they're going to be that different,
Uh,
and I just think this next year, Fields is going to run for a lot, and we also have DJ Moore there. And who knows what they're going to do? Maybe they'll get another receiver, but maybe
Oh
they'll just
yeah,
bolster their O
you got the
line.
stack.
Yeah,
You got the stack.
maybe they'll just bolster their offensive line. Last year he was playing with Darnell Mooney, who got hurt in like week 11 or something like that. And Cole Kmet was his next best receiver. Like, he had nobody. And I know people want to talk about how he can't throw, blah, blah, blah. Like, what happens when he has a receiver who's actually decent, when you're not.
It's like he has commitment issues.
Yes, commitment issues. Yeah, I don't know. I think Fields has the possibility of blowing up to QB1. I think that's a possibility. So I'm taking the chance, and I don't think it's all that different. Maybe at the end of the day I'll regret it, but we'll see. So
I like it. I mean, he was incredible last half of last season.
Yeah. And I traded him for DeAndre Swift. I could have just kept him in all my picks, and I traded him for DeAndre Swift. And then I regretted that move every minute afterwards. So there's a little bit of that too. I just wanted him back on my team. So, all right. But no, you got to make a trade.
You've been doing some Swift shopping to me. I know you've been probably Swift shopping to everyone else as well.
Yeah, to some people. Yeah, to some people for sure. Just to see what's out there. But now that I traded James Cook, it's like I only have 3 running backs who are worth a damn. So it's kind of.
I actually feel like looking at your team, Swift seems like a super hold, for where you're at. Like, I just don't think you're going to be able to get much for him, especially with Montgomery coming.
Yep.
But he could be really fucking good.
Yeah, I mean, there is that possibility. And so it's like, it's probably worth more to me to just like hold on to him and just hope that he has a great season and either sell him then or just keep him. One or the other. I mean, he's really talented, but there's a bunch of issues going on. It almost feels like Ben Simmons-esque, where we don't know what's going on in this guy's head.
Ben Himmons.
Ben Himmons.
Yeah,
Ben Himmons.
He is Himmons.
He is Himmons. God, let's get rid of that from the vocabulary.
Oh man.
But yeah, so what do you do with this team? You inherit this team.
It's really fun to think about because like you have 6 fucking first round picks that you can play with. Like basically, if we're using, or how many do you have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right?
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to play with right now. Yeah.
2 Kelseys,
Yes, 2 Kelseys.
6 McCaffreys.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean,
yeah.
I would obviously I would go all in. It just depends on how. If your first 5 games, and DJ Moore is looking incredible, and Ayuk is coming into form, and maybe Deontay Johnson, or just like if one of those guys, which you got great lottery takes in Deontay, Tony, like if one of those guys pops, like it's like you should go after some guys, and
yeah, you need some of them to pop and feel like decent about them before you make like any crazy decisions. But and I also have 2 picks. I guess it's like a matter of before the draft, do you make moves or do you just wait? And one of them's really high, right? One of them's a 103. The other one's 107. So 2 of the top 7 guys.
Would you throw 4 first rounders at Colin for Justin Jefferson?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I would.
Think he would do it?
No.
I mean, that would be.
He wouldn't do it, but I could. Yeah, I
could
do that.
For 4 first round picks?
I don't think that I'm not sure he'd do it. I'm also not sure if that takes my team to like contention right away. I
guess though, like, but once the season, like once it's obviously revealed that Colin is like 4-10, or whatever. like his team is not gonna, it's not gonna take off, and
Mm.
yours is taking off. Like it
Yeah.
seems like a really good home run.
Yeah, I mean, I would take it, and then my team's young, so it's not like if I don't have picks for a little bit, it wouldn't be a huge deal. It's not like the next couple years would suck because of that. Maybe I'm not super competitive if some of these guys peter off and they're not very good, but yeah, I feel like I've got a hole at tight end. I've got tight ends and running back 2 or 3 or whatever is kind of questionable. But I also don't have a wide receiver 1, so got a bunch of wide receiver 2s. Maybe some of them are high end. I don't even know. So it's a lot of question marks. But like you said, if some of them hit, and then I get, I'm gonna draft probably either a high end running back or high end wide receiver with my first pick, right? And then
Mm.
could I throw forward first to Justin Jefferson, and then my starting lineup is like that receiver I drafted plus Justin Jefferson, Brees Hall, I don't know, Swift or Pierce and
I mean, you
Fields
look at that team, and that team is going to be stacked for like
for
5
years.
years. Like
Yeah,
you wouldn't even actually need the draft picks,
right.
like
Yeah,
because you'd
yeah.
have
You'd have stuff. Yeah, I mean, maybe tight end is a question mark at that point, but like, when is it not? And maybe
you'd
some
have
of those
studs.
seconds I can hit on seconds or thirds. I can hit on a tight end somewhere. But yeah, I
You
think
have
that's a
studs
great
like
idea.
Zach Wilson starting to flower, you know, of
Yes.
maturity.
Yes. Oh man. Okay. Well, I think that's a cool idea. So go all in for a distressed asset here with Justin Jefferson.
If you're going to spend four round picks, you want it to be someone who's both like, I mean, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, like those are both good to potentially grab because they are on teams that could go one way or the other. You
Right.
know, I don't know what Josh is going to do. I think it
Wild
will depend
card.
on how really depends on how good Josh Jacobs is going to be.
Right.
Hey, good.
We just got I just realized the comment from Lewis. I don't know how long it's been there because I keep flipping between my screens. So he says best fantasy minds on the planet here. So there we go.
Really, it's a lot of. Wish that I could get some voice on that to how much sarcasm was he laying on there.
Or did he
Uh,
mean it? Like, yeah, there you go.
you really never know.
You
You
never
really never
know.
know with him.
You never know. Um, but okay, so take your picks and swing for the fences, and also buy a young player to go with this young roster that's really good already, and take it to the next level. I like it. I
The
think it's
four
a great
first
idea.
for Kyle Pitts was interesting.
Oh yeah, it wasn't. It's. I never expected it to go through. So it was honestly just It was honestly just so I could say I did it. Um,
I feel like no one should be off the table for four firsts. If I got so much shit for throwing three firsts at Travis Kelsey, who was literally the fantasy MVP last year,
yeah,
like
I mean,
four
from his
firsts.
perspective, I'll defend him for a second. So from his perspective, like he has a very young team, and Kyle Pitts, in theory, should be the best tight end, you know, for years and years and years. And it's going to be impossible if he lives up to his, billing. It's going to be impossible to replace him for anything less than like 3 firsts.
Uh,
So why not just keep him when you have him? I get that,
it's
but
got a lot of time to mature on Lewis's
yes,
team as well.
yes, exactly,
So
exactly. So
him
I
sucking is
I
yeah.
get it, but I also, for first, I would probably click accept for any one player for 4 first. I think. I don't think there's a player I wouldn't do that for.
It's a total
Jefferson's the only
reset.
one. Jefferson's the
A
only
total reset.
one that I would think about. Jefferson and Chase, and Pitts is not at that level. I mean, he's just not even close to that level right now. So, all right, so we went through that. Um, yeah, so I want to think about your team. You know,
Let's do it.
we can talk about each one. So you're at the
You want me to
bottom
tell you my
here.
strat? You want me to tell you my strategy first?
Yes,
Do
let's
you
hear
want
your
to?
strategy.
Do you want me to? Do
You're,
you want me to like listen to your takes and then I will reveal my strategy afterwards?
uh, oh, it was 4 firsts for Pitts and Burks, which is very different, by the way. So maybe it was 3 firsts for Pitts by itself, but okay. So I'm I have like something in mind, but nothing too crazy. Like to me, like big sweeping trades aren't really possible with this roster because you've already picked like the players that you want for this type of strategy. Like,
Here's the thing. June, I get 4 more draft picks, baby.
yes, yes, yes. So there is that. There is that you can play with when that shows up. Other things, I guess I would be thinking about players that maybe had a bad year who could possibly pop, and you need and older players too. Like one guy that came to mind, and I don't know how you would structure this trade because Josh probably likes him, but Michael Thomas seems like a dude that you could go out and get. He's
I
been
already
hurt.
tried. Josh didn't want any low dealing,
Yeah.
any low balling for
Yeah, I
Michael
don't know
Thomas.
if like a Jarek McKinnon, that might be too much, too rich for you or something like that. I was trying to think of players that maybe overachieved a little bit and you're pretty stacked at running back. Could Josh take Jarek McKinnon for Michael Thomas? And then if Michael Thomas lives up to being Michael Thomas, then that makes up for the fact that maybe like wide receiver is the biggest problem for you, I think, personally. Like I look at this
My
roster,
goal,
that's my question.
my goal is strategy right now is going to be to never make a rookie pick ever in the history of the LoG Dynasty League. As
Like
soon as these picks, as soon as I get these picks, to package all of them and get a marquee player, one player. Here, I want to get one person who would be drafted in a redraft first round league that my rate of attrition is losing less than one player that first round, that I always will have like the equivalent of a first round player. I
mhm.
can hopefully balance that influx year in, year out. I don't know if it's going to work, and you have to be very selective about guys that you take.
Yeah.
But like, there's
That
people that I want.
yeah, I think that is an interesting strategy. It's like so there's like a premium that you paid for youth, right? And you're just saying, I don't want to pay that for the most part.
Now,
And
give
you just
me
want to
every year,
take proven talent, right?
give me a CMC, give me a Derrick Henry, give me a Tyreek Hill, give me a Cooper Cup, give me like someone who's aging out, who someone has anxiety about whether they are have longevity,
Mm.
and let's go. Let's get 2 years out of them, 2 elite years. Devonte Adams. Um, just like these are the types
Yeah.
of players.
Yeah, I think that's it's an interesting strategy. Like I think people sometimes try to thread the needle. Like you talk about. I'm thinking about like how the Warriors tried to build up this past couple years. Like they're like, oh, we're gonna have Steph and Clay and like draft these young guys, and then they're gonna turn out to be the next Steph and Clay. And it's like that's not how it works. Like most of the time, you don't draft
It's only one.
Steph and
Yeah,
Clay. Like so it's much easier to trade that draft pick for somebody who's like decent and would fit well and would help you win now than try to like develop talent. So you're kind of just, saying, okay, I'm just gonna go for it. I'm gonna use the assets that I have and see what I can get for it and keep competing every year. And maybe it all falls apart in a couple of years, but maybe it doesn't. Who knows? In a couple of years, I know your
yeah.
running backs are going to be in trouble, like the current running backs on your roster. So it's a matter of like, do you go for guys that are younger and are decent. Something. I don't know. Like with your first, your upcoming first, or do you go for like an old guy and go all the way in? Like I'm sure you could have beaten that Derrick Henry offer with
That's what
the.
I fucking wanted that really badly. I'd been talking with Penny about that, and I congratulated Bryce begrudgingly.
Mm,
Uh, Actually, yeah,
yeah.
it was a great move on his part, but that's like exactly the move that I wanted to make.
All
Um,
right. So we got a question
I've
in the
talked.
chat. So let me throw this one out there before we forget. So Zach asked, "Do you think Colin would accept 2 firsts and T Higgins for? I'm assuming Justin Jefferson. Um, no, I don't think he would. I don't think he would. T Higgins is really good, but yeah, I don't know if he. That's like a tier down strategy where you take your guy and you look for something kind of close to him and throw in some picks or something to make that trade happen. I feel like that's too far down in terms of production. Like Higgins, Higgins produces like a high end wide receiver too. He's young, and maybe he gets traded or like signs with another team next year. I don't know. It's not a bad deal. Like it's probably pretty equivalent to what I suggested of or what Waldrop suggested of 4 firsts. Um, but the
I'm gonna
first
take
would
it.
have to be like pretty good too. Like if we're talking about your first this year, Zach, like 11 and 12. I don't think he'd want to do that. That's just my opinion, but
I think that there's also a premium you'll have to pay from Colin, simply because he doesn't actually want to see anyone get good off of the trade that he's making. So if he feels like it's going to make your team a super team, he's going to want to do that just out of misanthropy. Like he's not going to give you that deal.
amazing, amazing. All right, so yeah, I was trying to throw around other ideas. In my mind, it was like who has a few years left on your team that would be good to trade and get someone older who's producing more. And I was struggling with that because like the only person who I came up with was like Godwin, and like maybe you could trade him, but like he's so productive, and maybe I'm just biased. I just love Chris Godwin. I would have a really hard time doing that and figuring out like who to get for him that would make sense.
I mean, I've been trying to shop all of these guys all the time. Like,
Right.
obviously, I like making trades, so um, all these dudes are like on every time I go on like the Dynasty Reddit subreddit, like every like undervalued older player uh, like list
Yeah.
or thread that people make, it's pretty much my whole team,
We're in the
which means
same
that like
boat. We're in the same boat.
yeah,
I'm the buy low. Every buy low discussion is my entire team. Every single vet, like aging vet, who should you go get? It's your team plus like I know Tyler Lockett is like the guy. That's everybody's go-to
yeah,
suggestion for some reason. It's really caught on, which I get. I mean, he's been good, but
yeah, do love him.
do love him. Yeah.
Uh, Chris Godwin and Keenan Allen are both like very popular, like second and third horses to the Tyler Lockett answer
Mm,
question.
yeah.
I mean, here's the reality about my team is that if Travis Kelsey stops being Travis Kelsey, I'm completely fucked. So like, it really doesn't matter what happens with my running back room. Like, that's the window that I'm playing with.
Yeah.
Give a shit about anything outside of that. I have to do a full rebuild probably, anyways. I
He's
don't
a
care.
huge advantage every week, and if you have him on your team, this is similar to like having Justin Jefferson on your team. If you can field an average team around Travis Kelsey, you have a shot.
Yeah.
So I agree with that. Your window is kind of really tied to Travis Kelsey. I didn't really think about it that way.
So that's basically that, and that's why I would go for Henry or an older
Mm-hmm.
stud back,
Mm-hmm.
basically.
Cool.
Although the stud running backs now are young too, so that actually kind of fucks me a little bit. So
Yeah, 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 exactly. Yeah, because and they're all on Zach's team. So good luck getting one of those
Yeah.
guys.
That's the other needle in the thread here is that like I do not need another person who's like middling. Like,
Yeah.
I don't need I don't need another cusp wide receiver 2-1 player. Like I need a true number one at
Tell
one of the
me,
positions.
tell me more. I'm in the same boat. I've got so many middling young options,
Yeah.
but we're in a different spot in our builds here. So, all right. Well, I couldn't really think. I was kind of sad that I couldn't think of other trades, and you've probably been in the same boat.
Nothing to do.
But it's just really
It's
hard
yours.
to do anything. You just kind of roll with it. And if there is some like small opportunity out there for somebody who
Nothing to
has
do.
like a new, it's like you're just looking for guys that have a new role. Yeah, and somebody like cheap, some super cheap person, or you're just trading your first, you're trading your 2026 first and second for something. And those will be valuable, like no doubt those will be valuable to somebody because in 2026 I think most people think your team's gonna explode. That like
Probably right.
yeah. So
They don't know is that my rookie draft day, is the day after the draft day. That's called I come and pick up the scraps.
yeah.
Little lamprey eating like a dead whale on the bottom of the ocean. Some of that, there's gonna be some gold that people are gonna have to be dropping, and
That's true.
I'm gonna be filling my belly with all that good dribblings.
I need to figure out a way to get chat on this overlay so everyone can see it. But well, I guess everyone can see it on YouTube. But for you, so Lewis
Yeah.
says you're gonna take Miles Sanders for your 26 first, and you're gonna like it. So
I literally fucking offered thing to Penny for Miles Sanders, and
he's not
no,
budging.
I'm good.
I feel
No,
like Penny. Okay, let's talk about Penny's team then, because
let's do it.
I want to do that now. And now that you mentioned that, where is he? So he's kind of in the middle here.
He's got to go tank. He's got to go full tank.
Yeah, yeah. So okay, so he's got some players I really like with Justin Herbert and Chris Olave. Those two right there are like awesome in my book. Be really hard to move off of those guys, and you just keep them for your rebuild. Everything else could go.
I would sell Darren Waller right now.
Yeah, Waller would definitely be somebody I would sell, and I actually was trying to buy him. So that's something because I don't have a tight end really that I'm excited about. So maybe there's some trade we could make there. Chig is an interesting. Everyone loves Chig.
Oh, winner, Chig and dinner. That's what I always say.
But his wide receiver room is lacking, and and there's no like solid RB1. Sanders, I feel like Sanders is an obvious sell. Darren Wall is an obvious sell. I would sell Scary Terry as much as I like him. I think Jahan
Honestly,
is going to take over a lot of work there, but I'm biased. So
I'm surprised that he gave away Derrick Henry for this one first. Like, I was gonna send him. Gonna send him all of my picks from the draft for Derrick Henry.
Well, maybe you could make that trade with Bryce. I'm sure Bryce would consider it, but probably not. He probably just wants to dominate.
Bryce sent me the dirtiest, yuckiest trade the other day. He sent me fucking right after that news about Dalvin Cook like maybe being cut or whatever. He sent me a trade that was just Joe Mixon and a 4th round pick for Dalvin Cook. I guess it's not like so nasty.
No.
Like Mixon is like potentially done playing football.
Yeah.
And even if he wasn't that good last year, Dalvin Cook is still a good player. Like that's not. Why would I want to be exactly that same position except worse and have a 4th round draft pick, which is just like light it on fire.
To me, they're pretty close in the same tier, but it just like their situations are both super up in the air. They could both not be playing for their team this coming season, and I wouldn't be surprised. They could be playing with them. Also, wouldn't be surprised. Like either way. So um, really hard to say with those guys. But I would prefer the guy who produced at a higher level, which is Dalvin. Um, Mixon had that one game. It was actually against me. I remember. I'd like Justin Fields went off for like a bazillion points against AK, and then Mixon scored like 5 touchdowns that game and carried him to victory. So fun times. But yeah, that one game was it. Like the rest of the year, he wasn't that usable. I would love to look up. Maybe I'll just do that right now. I'm gonna look up. What did Mixon do? Um, I was honestly surprised Bryce traded for him. But
That was a genius trade by Aki.
yeah. So
I,
like,
I think I think that it will go down as looking like a very savvy move. It's
yeah,
Hopkins is exactly the type of player guy in Aki in my position should be going for.
absolutely. I was trying to get you Hopkins too, but it's like no, I can't. It's like me trying to trade with like Edmondson or Lewis or somebody like when you're not competitive, it's hard to trade with other not competitive teams. Like like there are natural trade partners here. Like, oh, I want to start being competitive. I'm gonna get your guys for young players or picks or whatever. Anyway, so I'm looking at Mixon right now. He had there's a lot of green on here, more than I thought in terms of rank, but they're all like late. So he wasn't winning you the week, but he wasn't losing you necessarily. Like he had some RB13s and 12s and 11s, but like only one week he had that RB1 week in week 9 against Carolina. And he had an RB, the next best one is an RB8 week against Baltimore, week 18, and he scored you 15 points. You know, like
I mean,
uh
look. If it was actually Joe Mixon and like wasn't like if there wasn't the possibility that he's gonna like jail or get suspended or something for like whatever this assault thing is,
mhm.
like that's a totally different story.
Yeah,
Like you
but
can't.
let's look at so then like you said, but like looking at Dalvin Cook, he has week 5, 25 points, week 6, 21 points, week 8, 27 points, week 10, 34 points, and then a little gap there, week 15, 32 points. But that's a lot of weeks he could have won you the week, right?
He's
Whereas
great.
whereas Mixon only won you really 1 week last year. So I don't know. You're looking for week winning dudes, not mid guys at this point. All right. So what trade? So you're thinking trading Darren Waller to like bring it back here to Penny's team, one on the screen.
Especially because he has winner chicken dinner.
Yes.
People, like that's who a lot of people are thinking, might actually be Kyle Pitt, what everyone assumed Kyle Pitts might be, just like an athletic freak who becomes the next great tight end. Because there's
Right.
going to be a vacuum. Um, I mean, he does. He has key players at the important positions.
Mm.
Herbert, Olave, winner chicken dinner are something that you could build on.
And a
So,
lot of firsts. He has a lot of
a lot of
firsts.
firsts.
Yeah. He got that first from the Jamal Williams trade.
I don't know what to do with his other players though. Nobody is going to give him anything. Or
Yeah, it's a lot of like
Miles
maybe you could get like a
Sanders.
third round pick for some of these guys and like just not a lot in terms of picks. And yeah, and players. I think you're just looking to strike gold on random players, waiver wire. I don't know. Yeah, it's pretty tough. It's a tough situation. But that's what happens with this kind of league, like a 14 team league. I think all teams are in a tough spot. I also think that's what makes trading hard because you don't know what to do. Like, there's no obvious right answer with this team. Um,
Uh,
like, yeah, if I trade away Justin Herbert and get a bunch of picks, that's great. But now I don't have a quarterback, and I
all right,
don't
if
have
he
a
trades
corner.
away Justin, if he trades away Justin Herbert and Chris Olave, like just sell everything for pennies because it doesn't even, well,
Yeah,
for penny.
for Benny, it's everything for Benny.
It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Like
Yeah,
you're
I would think in a rebuild you want to keep those two guys that we just said, maybe Chig as well, and then the rest of it you just throw for picks, see what people will give you, but
this
not
is
much.
honestly, this is a team where knowing that like, I still have another year or so of Derrick Henry and with all those picks, like I would try to trade those picks if I were him. Like I would actually have gone the other way. Like unless I'm getting a lot for Derrick Henry, he's just the type of player where like as long as you have him,
So you're saying if this team had Derrick Henry, so you have Miles Sanders as your RB2, then which is a lot more comfy, right? Uh,
If Herbert goes back to like Supernova,
yep, which it
Kellen
could.
Moore, yeah, and just weapons.
And then you got a wide receiver one in Olave, wide receiver two with Terry, and then you've got Waller. The flex plays are kind of questionable, but like you said, you've got a lot of picks, so
Those are the
why
holes
not?
you fill.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah,
So
that's what I would have done. You just when you have marquee players like that and young talent, like just no.
yeah, does I guess Zach's gonna hate or everyone's gonna hate me for saying this, not Zach. Zach's the only one that's gonna like this. Does a super team discourage you from doing stuff like that? If you look at a team and you're like if we look at, and I'll just pull up Zach's team right now. I'm calling it a super team compared to other teams in this league.
It's absolutely a super team.
So like you've got a QB one, three running backs plus Cook and Gibson. So lots of depth there. Garrett Wilson, T. Higgins, Cooper Cup, Hollywood,
I mean,
Kirk,
he's
Ridley.
Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, Goddard and picks on top of all that. Um, does that play into the calculus at all for you if you're making trades as one of these teams?
Yeah.
Well, how could I
I
compete with that?
Oh, are you saying or like how do I interface with like does it affect like I'm one dealing with Zach?
Not
And
necessarily when you're dealing with Zach, but like as like let's say you own Penny's team, like and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go all in. Do you look at this team and go, well, why would I go all in? Like, can I even compete with this team? That doesn't
now,
bother you
and
at
this is
all.
this is gonna be a super annoying answer, but like I think that the number one thing that wins championships is just making it to the championship game
Mm,
like enough times, and then it's a fucking coin flip. Anybody can beat anybody in a one game scenario. Just
yep.
get there. You
I,
have got if you don't get there, then as long as you make the playoffs, you have a shot. So
right.
like, just make the playoffs as often as you can. That's the best way to win championships.
So instead of building that like perfect team step by step, year by year, you're just like, let's go, let's get in the playoffs, and let's see
Yeah.
what happens. Let the cards
Okay.
fall as they may.
David Lewis's team when he lost uh, Ham year, it was the best team. Or no, I don't know. Was that the Ham year or was it whatever
Oh,
year that he lost to you?
Mike Boone.
Yeah, yeah. The Booning. That was like the best team ever assembled. Period. It was the
Right.
best
It
team
was
in
like
the
the
history of
Avengers.
redraft.
If it was like the Avengers of fantasy football, right there.
Yeah, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. Like, it takes one bad game with a game that has so many injuries. And you can paint pictures too of how stacked uh, next team is. Like there could be a world where like Lawrence is pretty much like all those quarterbacks if they continue to be what they were last year, they would be promising, but like not a positional advantage necessarily.
Hmm.
Um, you know, any one of those top tier running backs could go down just because the position is fragile. You could say that about everybody else too. And then like there are worlds which this team could be fiddling. So it doesn't. I mean, yeah, I just think that this game is so noisy. Like it's going to be my goal to never try to tank because
Because
you're all
your fans, they're paying good money to go see your team. You don't want to tank, and and you want to fill those seats. People want to watch your product. Uh,
Very, very anti-load management, I
anti-load
just,
management.
just play the fucking game, these guys. Um,
Excellent.
uh,
Well, are there any other teams you want to go over? Any part, or are we good to wrap up here? You think?
let me take one more shot.
Or do you want to make a trade for Lewis?
Yeah, let's do one for Lewis.
Okay.
Got to do one for Lewis.
Got to do one for Lewis here. All right. Look at all those picks. Woo!
Golly, so many Bishop Sankeys just waiting to be uncovered. Just a full team of Corey Davises.
All right.
Just bad enough, just good enough to where like you won't drop them, but just bad enough to where they'll never put you anywhere.
Is this a team that could trade for Justin Jefferson? Or what are your thoughts on that?
Just like I'm just laughing at JD McKissick as his running back too. Like JD McKissick
Kyron Williams as his running back one is something else too. Now
at least Kyron Williams is on our roster. Like JD McKissick
Bijan is his running back one, right? So let's just get that straight. So he's got Bijan after this draft.
Hasn't he thought about honestly? If I'm him, I try to see if I can trade Bijan for 3 firsts or something. Even trade back in this draft. Like, try to draft more receivers or something. I don't know. This team is not ready for Bijan. Like, this is going to, I mean, maybe, I guess. But it's going to, for one, we devalue his other picks because he'll
actually score points.
He's going to actually do better. But it's team is interesting. I just think that it's really fucking hard to play GM, like actual NFL GM, which is the strategy that I do. Like there are only a handful of stars. It's fucking hard to predict the next generation of stars. And like it's a lot easier to just try to talk to your friends about getting stars to them.
Yeah. That's true. So, yeah, I feel like I don't know if I trade Bijan for firsts, but if I could trade Bijan for like real players and a first or something like that, then I think that might be something you could do. But Bijan is awesome. So if you draft him and you draft Addison, I'm just thinking about after his draft. So with his first couple picks here, if he drafts like a wide receiver and Bijan, then he's got, and the wide receiver is going to take a year to be like relevant at least.
If he traded Bijan, Patrick Mahomes, to his brother, it'd be spicy, right?
It would be pretty spicy. You'd have Mahomes forever. I don't know if David would do that or not. I guess I'd have to look at David's team. I don't even know who he has. Where is his team? There it is. He has Brock Purdy. He has Kirk Cousins, though. I mean, Kirk Cousins can play.
He could get Jordan Love.
Yeah. He could get Jordan Love. So
adding Bijan to that running room, like,
be dirty.
I think it'd be fine rocking Kirk Cousins for a year. I think he could do it.
I think he could too.
I would at least try to talk David into that if I were Matt.
Because that's a long-term play. You just have Mahomes forever, and you don't ever have to worry about quarterback. That's an amazing thing to have.
If Pitts does to come to fruition, then you have like two of the longest term like locked down for the foreseeable future. So now you can actually start spending future draft capital and real, the Bijans of next year.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So, I'm not sure what I would do here. He needs to get a quarterback, and I like that idea. Quarterbacks are pretty stable. this is probably you could argue this is as high a value as Bijan might ever have because he is like the RB1 already, and he hasn't touched the football field yet, which is kind of crazy.
Right?
So you could get a guy like I don't know, just like CMC or Henry or whoever, and they're gonna probably score as many points or more this year, and you could get a lot of extra stuff with it and build your team. It's definitely an option. I'm just worried that if I were him, I'm worried that I'm not sure if Kyle Pitts is ready yet or not. If he does take that next step, then his team is really competitive.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I would be. It'd be hard pressed for unless I got some good players back plus picks. I'd be hard pressed to trade Bijan myself in his position. I think. I don't know.
In his position, yeah.
Any questions left in the chat? Does not look like. All right, man. Well, I think I'm fading. So
Yeah.
this has been real. We should do it again sometime.
This is great.
Thanks for coming on. Next time we'll have.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll have Edmondson on next to talk about the Memphis Grizzlies. I'm sure that's what we'll spend most of our time talking about. We'll talk about his team and why he should let me draft Jahmyr Gibbs because I would like that very much. I'm just throwing that out there. All right, we'll see you guys next time.